Hey guys, so next week, Friday the 24th, is Fashion Revolution Day, which is a day of reflection, awareness, and hopefully change. I want to talk about some of the issues around clothing manufacturing and what you can do as a consumer. April 24th, 2013 was the collapse of the Rana Plaza factory in Bangladesh. It was one of the deadliest garment factory accidents and killed over 1,100 people. The accident could have been prevented, and it brought international attention to the safety and working conditions around apparel manufacturing. But 2 years later, there are still insane ethical issues and human rights violations going on in the fashion industry. Fashion Revolution Day was created on the anniversary of the Rana Plaza factory accident to raise awareness and wants you to ask the question, who made my clothes? It's extremely unfortunate, but fast fashion corporations just don't care about people and only focus on their profits. So the only way that they will actually make a change is if they know that they'll lose customers and lose money. Fast fashion is a massive part of the problem, and I'm not even going to get into the environmental side of things. But in terms of manufacturing, the entire fast fashion business structure is built on quick and cheap, which comes at a huge cost to the people actually making the clothes. Stores like H&M, Zara, Primark, and more constantly have new styles. Fast fashion has taken us from 2 seasons a year to 4 to having new product every single week. And this means very high pressure on the factories to get the product finished. So in cases like Rana Plaza, when they noticed cracks forming in the building, the factory isn't going to send the workers home because there's so much pressure to have everything finished on time. And if the factories are late, they will usually lose money or not be paid in full, which ends up harming the workers there. These fast fashion brands want to sell product as cheaply as possible, so they negotiate manufacturing as cheap as possible. So what does that mean for the people working at the factories? Well, according to the War on Want Stitched Up report, and I'll link any reports and other information I mentioned down below, the Bangladeshi factories claim to set very reasonable production targets. However, 75% of the workers interviewed said that they never meet their production targets and they're completely unrealistic. And that means a lot of overtime work. And because the workers' wages are tied to how much they produce and not how much time they work, there's no overtime pay. 80% of the women workers surveyed in Bangladesh said that they work 12 to 14-hour days just to make enough money to meet their basic needs. Also, in these factories, the majority of workers are usually women, and there are tons of issues around harassment and abuse. And this happens in many countries. According to the Made in India report, a lot of women are brought into the factories by being promised a huge sum of money after 3 to 5 years. But what actually ends up happening is the factories withhold their wages, and therefore the women can't leave. And in the factories, there's often no effective way of handling grievances. So the workers have no way to fight for their rights or even be heard. In addition to unsafe buildings and working conditions, factory workers are also exposed to very toxic dyes, chemicals, and other health hazards. According to the Clean Clothes Campaign Deadly Denim report, sandblasting denim, which is what gives it that nice faded, kind of worn-in look, can lead to severe respiratory issues and even a fatal lung disease. And the workers doing this often don't have access to proper safety equipment. There's a really great documentary which I recommend watching. I'll link to it below, and it's about 3 Norwegian fashion bloggers who are sent into factories to see how their clothes were made, and it's really eye-opening. And now on the consumer side, the clothes are very cheap, but they're often very poor quality. But the companies actually want that because if the clothing falls apart after a few wears and washes, the customers are more likely to come back and buy more and more clothes. And the companies also really sell that idea of needing to be current, so their customers will come back in the store all the time for new pieces. I'm not going to get into the environmental side of things, but you can only imagine the insane amount of waste that's caused by this very unsustainable mentality. So this is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to ethical issues in the fashion industry. But what can you do as a consumer? It's very important to do your research. Look for companies that are transparent about their production, that practice ethical manufacturing, and pay fair wages. Ask companies who made my clothes. Tweet them, email them, message them on Facebook. On April 24th, get involved and Instagram a photo of your clothing inside out. Let the brands you like know that you care about how your clothes were made and the conditions of their factories. Share information and have conversations with people you know about these issues. A lot of people never even think about where their clothing came from or all the hands that were part of creating it. And check out the links I've posted below for a lot more information and resources. So these are very serious issues, but I hope you got some good information out of this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. And be sure to check out my video, which will be coming out on the 24th. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.